Welcome to The Hidden Truth. We're still pretty new to YouTube, and we're looking to expand our channel. If you enjoy our videos, please consider sharing them on social media or other UFO communities. Your support means everything to us. We have an exciting announcement. We'll be doing a monthly giveaway. All you have to do is like and comment on our videos for the chance to win a variety of prizes, including hats, shirts, and more. The more you like and comment, the greater your chances. Oh, and subscribing doesn't hurt either. What are you waiting for? Smash that like button. You can get free stuff.
1965. The Real Men in Black. The years are 1965 and 1966. Several locations within the continental USA. Bad actors posing as Air Force investigators lie to UFO witnesses to get photographs and other information. Who are these men in black? Mysterious men, dressed in Air Force uniforms or bearing impressive credentials from government agencies, who intimidate witnesses and sometimes confiscate evidence from them, have now become inextricably enmeshed in UFO lore. In 1967, even the Air Force was obliged to acknowledge that such incidents took place, but denied any involvement. These men are not connected with the Air Force, said Colonel George Freeman, Pentagon spokesman for Project Blue Book. On August 3, 1965, Highway Inspector Rex Heflin took 4 Polaroid photographs of a low-flying UFO near Santa Ana, California. After that, he was visited at his home by a man claiming to represent North American Air Defense Command, G2, possibly the USAF Aerospace Intelligence Division, who demanded the prints. They were never returned. Heflin had previously loaned the photos to El Toro Marine Station and had received them back safely, so he assumed that NORAD, or whoever, would do likewise. Major General M. Maggi, NORAD's chief of staff, later told Representative James Biot, Republican, California, "For your information, NORAD does not have the responsibility for the evaluation of UFOs, and therefore would not knowingly be in the business of collecting UFO pictures for evaluation," he claimed. Police officers and other witnesses to a UFO sighting at Wanaco, New Jersey, in 1966 were assembled by a man wearing an Air Force uniform who told them they hadn't seen anything and should not discuss the matter any further. "We checked with the local Air Force base," said Colonel Freeman, and discovered that no one connected with the Air Force had visited Wanaco on the date in question. Whoever he was, he wasn't from the Air Force. In April 1966, a man claiming to represent a government agency so secret that he couldn't give its name, grilled 2 12-year-old boys for 2 hours about a disc-shaped object that had pursued them at ground level. "We haven't been able to find out anything about these men," said Colonel Freeman. "By posing as Air Force officers and government agents, they are committing a federal offense." Perhaps Colonel Freeman was telling the truth and was genuinely unaware of government involvement in these incidents. Owing to compartmentalization of intelligence, he may not have had a need to know about the investigations, nor would he necessarily have known which agency was involved. And if he did, it would hardly have been in the government's best interests to admit as much. The Air Force Office of Special Investigations, AFOSI, with a long history of involvement in clandestine UFO investigations, might have been responsible, as could NORAD itself. There are other factors to be taken into consideration. The CIA, for example, is not above using agents posing as Air Force officers when the occasion demands. They don't go around wearing CIA badges. There is another agency, hidden in Air Force intelligence, but run by the CIA, whose very existence was denied by the US government until comparatively recently. I refer to the most secret intelligence agency in the United States, the National Reconnaissance Office. The NRO was established in 1960 And although its primary function is the operation of spy satellites, its estimated annual budget of $3 billion and staff of 50,000 could easily allow for secret UFO investigations. There is no evidence of this so far. However, in a Freedom of Information request for documents in 1986, not surprisingly drew a blank. Although the Air Force did send Timothy Good, the only record we have responsive to your request, this being the memorandum from Colonel Charles Halt to the British Ministry of Defense relating to the landing of a UFO outside RAF USAF Woodbridge in December 1980. The point is that many, if not all, of the mysterious agents who intimidate witnesses could well originate with the government rather than, as some have suggested, the so-called Men in Black. But there have been a number of disturbing reports of encounters with the nefarious MIB, which simply cannot be dismissed. Stories so incredible that witnesses seldom report them for fear of ridicule. And if the paraphysical abilities of the MIB are factual, then it is obvious that we are not dealing with government intimidators. Resources above top secret. Timothy Good, 1988. My take. There are all sorts of rumors about the real Men in Black, from agents of MJ-12 to humanoid-looking aliens, or both. One thing for sure, someone is lying to UFO witnesses to get information and evidence. NORAD and the UFOs. The North American Aerospace Defense Command is responsible for protecting the North American continent from attack by enemy missiles or aircraft, while the vast majority of the 25,000 observations each day that are recorded by NORAD's Space Detection and Tracking System and the Naval Space Surveillance System turn out to be readily identifiable. A certain percentage relate to uncorrelated observations, of which there have been approximately 10 million since the early 1960s. Assuming that the majority of these two can be explained, we are still left with possibly thousands of bona fide UFO reports. NORAD has released a number of documents under provisions of the Freedom of Information Act, which detail some incidents, such as the intrusions over Strategic Air Command bases, including nuclear missile bases in Maine, Michigan, Montana, North Dakota, and Canada in 1975, but many more are being withheld. When Citizens Against UFO Secrecy filed an FOIA request for this data in NORAD files, they were quoted a search fee of over $155,000. The much-respected researcher, Raymond Fowler, who once served with the USAF Security Service, has revealed details of the NORAD-related incident that occurred on March 5, 1967. NORAD radar tracked an uncorrelated target descending over the Minuteman missile site at Minot Air Force Base, 91st Strategic Missile Wing, North Dakota. Strike teams were notified immediately and sighted a metallic disc-shaped UFO with bright flashing lights moving slowly over the site. 3 armed trucks chased the intruder until it stopped and hovered at 500 feet. The teams had orders to capture the UFO undamaged if it landed, but it then began circling over a launch control facility. F-106 jets were about to be scrambled when the UFO climbed vertically and disappeared at high speed. Fowler has received confirmation from undisclosed sources that there have been other instances when UFOs have hovered directly over nuclear missile sites. In the spring of 1966, the command and status consoles at a launch control center in Great Falls, Montana, indicated that a fault existed in each of the 10 missiles. Simultaneously, the missile crew checked the faults electronically and discovered that a no-go fault condition existed in the guidance and control systems, which meant in effect that none of the missiles could have been launched. Above-ground personnel had reported seeing UFOs at the precise moment the failures were detected. An identical incident occurred during the week of March 20, 1967, Fowler reports, when radar at Maelstrom Air Force Base, Montana, confirmed the presence of a UFO at the same time that 10 missiles became inoperative. If these events actually took place, and I see no reason to doubt that they did, given the documented cases of intrusions by UFOs over missile sites in 1975, then we must give due consideration to the possibility that in the event of a full-scale nuclear alert, all our intercontinental ballistic missiles will be rendered impotent. This is indeed a comforting thought, with profound implications for the survival of humanity. But there is an additional possibility that the UFO intelligences are merely demonstrating that we have no adequate defense against them. Resources above top secret. Timothy Good, 1988. My take: it must have been a terrifying experience when all of the missiles stopped functioning. I'm sure they thought it was a prelude to war. The aliens were showing us that our weapons were nothing to them, and they could shut them off at any time.